Before I go, I just want you two to know something, all right? The super podcast story was working, okay? It was working, and you guys messed it up. Beverly Hills Cop is coming up next.
Haven't Seen It with Tim Sestito and Tommy Tevene. Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. Thank you all so much for listening today. This is a podcast where one of us is watching a movie for the very first time, and I believe that is myself. This is my first watch of Beverly Hills Cop ever. Tommy, you told me you had just been on a run of the whole franchise, but when was the first time you watched Beverly Hills Cop?
I think the first time was about like 10 or 15 years ago because I heard it was one of those movies that like Eddie Murphy was like, this is where he popped. This is like his real huge breakout more than anything. And I was like, all right, well, I gotta watch this. And I fell in love with it immediately. This is a great movie. Great franchise overall. We don't mention the third one, but other than the third one, it's a good franchise.
That's a rule of thumb with a lot of 80s franchises. We just don't mention the third one.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a rule of thumb for them there. We just they had a whole new director, they overpaid the actor, nobody wanted to be there.
Yeah.
That's typically the way the third ones of these gone. Well, happy post 4th of July to you, Tommy. We've got a couple of weeks to catch up on. What are some movies that you went and saw or watched at home? What are some of those movies, Tommy?
Yeah. So I'll start off with New York City. Yesterday, I went into to go see a couple movie screenings, see some friends. I first went to IFC Center to see Brian De Palma's Blowout, a great movie of John Travolta, which I won't dive into deep right now, but definitely recommend it. But the main one I want to talk about is the new Beverly Hills Cop movie on theme, for the podcast today. I saw Netflix's Paris' Theater, and it was one of those movies that like I just realizing more and more, I just hate the Netflix method of not releasing their movies theatrically. I mean, Apple does it. I think Amazon Prime does it. Why doesn't Netflix do this? Because this was a great movie to see in a crowd in a movie theater. I thought that it was a fun movie. It was a great return to form for Eddie Murphy. He was just slipped right back into action fully. And it wasn't really a cringy legacy sequel that felt like it was a retread of the first. I felt like it was doing like a little bit different stuff within the movie. Yeah, Judge Reinhold come back. Yeah, John Ashton come back, and even Bronson Pinchot as Surge come back. So overall, I mean, if you like this franchise, Beverly Hills Cop, I wouldn't say it's the best of the franchise, but it's the third. And when you're doing a legacy sequel, that's a good thing to be in the third aspect. But the Netflix Paris Theater was really cool to check out. It was weird being in a movie theater as a balcony, but again, Netflix release this movie wide. What are you doing?
Well, so it's interesting that you mentioned like Apple and Amazon because streaming is just like a part of their media control influence of these companies. It's just like a wing of these companies. Netflix's whole deal is streaming.
Yeah.
So if you're going to release these movies, they want them to be on the platform you're paying the subscription for, not for to split it with a box office 50-50. So like releasing it in their own theaters makes more logistical sense. I think like the only one that got like a fairly wide release that I can remember was The Irishman, because Scorsese was like, "Yeah, I'll do a Netflix movie, but this thing's going in theaters."
No, not even. If I remember correctly, I mean, like you and I, we saw the Irishman in theaters. We saw also Roma in theaters, two other Netflix originals, and those were both places we had to go to repertory theaters in New York City for, and they weren't wide. Both those
I
movies. I can understand Roma more, but Irishman could have been wide too.
I
You
remember.
know?
I think we just saw it early, um, for that specific location. I remember Christmas time that year driving by. I think it was the Mount Kisco movie theater. Driving by there and seeing The Irishman was available for like there, which is like the that movie theater is like a two screen like little movie theater, you know.
Mm.
So I think that one got a wide release because it's Scorsese and he has the power. And it's like, hey, if you want to say you have an exclusive rights with Martin Scorsese, he's probably going to want his movies in theaters. The guy's 80 years old. That's what he's going to want to do. You know what movie I saw, Tommy? If we're talking about old guys with delusional dreams.
Yeah. What?
I saw Horizon: An American Story,
Oh,
Chapter One. Kevin
oh,
Costner, baby.
3
And
hours long. Was it worth it?
I don't know is my real feeling on
Okay.
it. I kind of I respect it because it was like I haven't seen a movie quite like this. Like it had like this has four parts like already like instilled. And if you don't know the background of this story, which is crazy, like Kevin Costner's been doing Yellowstone like wildly successful, like kind of revitalized his career in a lot of ways. And then he was like, yeah, he told his wife, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna walk away from Yellowstone, spend more time with the family. Meanwhile, he's mortgaging the house to fuel a four-film like epic. So like, and then his wife divorces him. So like, just immediately, I'm like, all right, like this is a project of delusion and grandeur. Like I'm
Yeah.
in, and it's it has really really strong moments
Mhm.
in it. It's a little messy, very
Mhm.
messy, I would say. And like it follows like it follows like six different through lines, like some of them attached to other through lines, like they all like
Mhm.
some of them interconnect and some of them just straight up do not. But it's very intriguing filmmaking. Like at the beginning it has an awesome action sequence at the beginning. There's one moment with Kevin Costner and one of the guys from the North Dakota. That was my one biggest pet peeve is like they did a terrible job of like you have like 100 characters in this movie and like they did really poor job of introducing and highlighting like the important ones and getting the names of these people. Like
Yeah.
they did a just an
I
awful
mean, I
job of
guess
that.
you assume that Costner's character is important, but then like after that, it's like, okay, who else?
Yeah, yeah, like my biggest thing is like I didn't know who I needed to really like care about like earlier on, and then it kind of started to become a little more clear
Mm.
as the movie went along. But there's one sequence where like essentially this woman she like kills a powerful or she attempts to kill a powerful like hunting figure in the Dakotas somewhere, steals the baby that he had with him, and then like 2 years later, like this guy from the family is walking up with Kevin Costner, who's going up there to be with an escort and who's like babysitting the kid. And it's just like a very, very tense scene. That's like probably not the best way to describe it, but that's the best that is the what happened there.
Mm.
And it was just like 7 minutes of them like walking up a hill and just talking, and like the guy is really annoying, and Kevin Costner is obviously playing the stoic, you know, 18th century man, right? Like, what else would
Mm.
he do? So we had that going on there, where I was like, this is all right. Like, I'm leaning on in my chair a little bit here. This is what's going on. I was the youngest person in the movie theater. I'm sure you could imagine, Tommy.
Yeah.
The
Oh yeah,
weird
you and the boomers.
this might be Joe Biden's generation, bro. It was pretty old in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and And then the movie ended with just like a short trailer for the second episode, which was so bizarre because it's coming out in August. Like it just, I was like the second part looked so much better than the one I just watched.
So is it kind of like a situation of like, like how I bitch about like fantasy movies where I'm like, oh, the first part's just set up and the second part, like, is that what it felt like where the second part's gonna be the one that's
It's
actually
just
really good?
it's just hubris. It was
Yeah.
like I respect it because like Costner financed this himself. Like this is what he wanted,
Yeah.
and he delivered his vision. Apparently, he's been going about it for 30 something years. I think it's
Mhm.
really cool that it got a wide theatrical release because he's even said he's like, yeah, we know we're not making this back at the box office, but we'll get
Yeah.
streaming rights. We'll get this on cable. He's basically saying this movie will be everywhere because we will find a way to make the money back on this after the fact. Which is, hey, movie companies, instead of pulling your movies after a week in theaters, like let them sit there, let them make some
Yeah.
money,
Yeah. Let them
and,
have some legs.
and then put them on TNT. Like there's so many cult classics that just became cult classics because people caught them on TNT. Just let it happen. And
Yeah.
but I think I enjoyed it. I think I also hated it. I don't I've never been this conflicted with a movie, being like,
Yeah.
I think I kind of hated it, but I really admired the shot, and I'm gonna go see part two because I won't lie, the trailer kind of worked on me at the end there when I was like, this looks like a much better movie than the one I just watched.
You're immediately like, fuck, like why did I watch this instead?
Yeah, well, like here's my thing. I felt like you like there was a lot of really cute like character moments. There's this wife and daughter who like the beginning they're settled in Horizon, and the Apache tribe comes down and like raises the village because they are settled like right on their river land, right? But the mother and the daughter they're basically hiding under, and they get picked up by the U.S. Army, and this is 1863, so Civil War is going on. And then there was like this really sweet moment where she, like one of the troops that rescued her, like he's going off to battle, and she takes from his blanket, she just cuts him a little like flower, hands it to him, and the sergeant talks to the mother and goes, "Hey, could you get more for the rest of the men? You don't even realize, but most of these men will die with that flower in their hand. That's how much that little gesture will mean to them." And it's like this is where I'm so conflicted because I'm like, this could have been so much tighter. Like they could have probably done this in two movies instead of four. But then you just have
Yeah.
like a moment like that where I'm like, oh, that's like a genuinely beautiful, like heart. Like so, the movie's just unbalanced, I think, and it's just long, which
It's Costner with the ultimate blank check, aka his mortgage.
yeah, dude, he's like 65, whatever,
Yeah,
65,
yeah.
70.
He's like, fuck it at this point. I'm going for it.
He's like, I can always go back to Yellowstone and make money because they have like four Yellowstone shows now, something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Talk about like a media world. I just have no clue what's going on in Yellowstone whatsoever.
But isn't this exactly like what happened to him in the 90s, right? Like he had Waterworld. Like Waterworld was a like his
Waterworld
big,
and The Postman. I don't think he directed Waterworld, if I remember, but
but
he did direct Postman.
he financed both
Yeah,
of those.
yeah. He had a hand in at least Waterworld.
Yeah, he financed both of those, and they both just were immense flops. And then he's taking it off of Dances with Wolves, which is like his coup de grace, which is probably a film we should cover on here.
Yeah, I have not seen it,
I
so
have not seen it either because it's a 3 hour movie that beat out Goodfellas at the Oscars that year, and I never wanted watched it.
we're a little salty about that. We're all a little bit salty
I'm a
still.
little salty about
I
that.
think 30 years later, 35 years later, we're still like, what the fuck was happening? It's like a Saving Private Ryan and Shakespeare in Love situation.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Shakespeare in Love is the ultimate. Even The Artist uh, was one. The Hurt Locker over The Social Network. It's very interesting. I wonder if the Oscars would ever consider out of like trying to freshen it
The
up.
re-Oscars.
No, no, just like hold the Oscars like for movies released 5 years after the fact, and let's see what actually becomes a cultural landmark.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
like change. The formula's dead. It's boring. Way more interesting and puts a lot more life and like legs and eyeballs on movies when it's like, okay, this movie's coming up on year five. How are we feeling about it, people? Like we've been watching this for years, and maybe it'll slow down that like Oscar bait dreck, that garbage that just like they're good movies, but they're only made for like an
like
Oscar performance and like
it's
costumes.
like another drag movie that Martin Brest directed, director of Beverly Hills Cop, Son of a Woman. That's legacy now is just like that was kind of a shit movie, but it won Pacino the Oscar, I guess.
And Pacino's a guy that he's a legendary actor. He needs his Academy Award. What else would he be without it? I heard a clip of him talking about. I think it was when he was nominated for Serpico, where he was just like, "Yeah, I was really glad I didn't win. I was on a whole bunch of acid and was
Oh
not
yeah, yeah.
prepared to give a speech."
I remember that. So
So,
legends. That's what it is.
legends of the game, and in Beverly Hills Cops, we watched a legend be born. Okay, the trailer's not playing. Cool, awesome, awesome.
You know he's edited it.
Yeah, no, I'll just
Yep.
Eddie Murphy is a Detroit cop on vacation in Beverly Hills.
How you doing?
We have 6 witnesses that say you broke in and started tearing up the place, then jumped out the window.
I'm on vacation.
Eddie Murphy, Beverly Hills Cop, rated R. Starts Wednesday, December 5th at a theater near you.
That iconic laugh at the end, the
He's got away from it.
yeah, well, probably for a reason, because that's it's an interesting laugh. But
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Cop, for those who do not know, as listed on Wikipedia, is an American buddy cop action film. I wouldn't necessarily call this a buddy cop film. I'd call it a renegade cop film if I had to classify it under the subclass of cop film genre. I would not call it a buddy cop film. It like becomes a buddy cop film like 95% of the way through the movie.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like once he really starts becoming like, friends with Taggart and Rosewood, that's when it becomes more buddy cop.
Taggart he never really becomes friends with Taggart. Taggart's a little bit of the I'm too old for this shit. He's kind of got that moniker going on there.
Until the very end where he's like, yeah, we'll have a beer if you fall. Like, nah, fuck it.
Yeah.
And in the sequel, he's back to he's more friends with him. But this came at a great point for Eddie Murphy's career. I mean, like we were talking earlier off mic about how like Eddie Murphy obviously come up in SNL. He was like the breakout star. He was only 19 when he was on SNL.
Yeah. He started doing stand up on the it's like stand up NYC on the Upper East Side. It was really big in the late 70s before the Comedy Cellar took off. In the late 70s, that's where like Jerry Seinfeld and all the comics of that generation came in. And then like one day 16-year-old Eddie Murphy walks in and just destroys the place. And they're all like, oh my God, who is this guy?
Exactly.
Fun fact about that venue. I remember I was walking back from someplace. I was walking by there. This is on 2nd Avenue, and it's in between, I want to say it's between 84th and 83rd, something like that.
Mhm.
I'm walking by there, and I just see Tracy Morgan parked in a Ferrari outside of it, talking to a guy smoking a cigarette. And I was like, "What's up, Tracy?" He's like, "Yo, what's up, man?" And then we just kept walking. We just went our separate ways. But that's my Tracy Morgan story.
Amazing. We all gotta have one.
We all. Do you have one?
I don't, but I should.
But
have
you should get one.
Yeah,
because if you don't
I
have
gotta
one,
get
if you don't have one, what's the point?
I bought tickets for him at my day job, so I can say that. But anyways, this is a real heater for Eddie Murphy. I mean, coming off of his first movie was 48 Hours, a great movie which we should probably cover in the future, if you haven't seen it, Tim. Then Trading Places, which is also
I've seen
movie.
Trading Places. Dan Aykroyd.
Actually, I don't know if I've seen that all the way through, so we should cover that later on.
My dad. That's one of my dad's favorite movies. He loves Trading Places.
So yeah, he had those two movies. They're great, like two-handers. Where like both those movies, he's really like playing off someone else. Nick Nolte in 48 Hours, Dan Aykroyd in Trading Places, and he had Best Defense in between that, which is a Dudley Moore movie that I think we've all forgotten. But Beverly Hills Cop was his first time where he's front and center. He is the star of the show, number one on the call sheet. He doesn't have anyone really to bounce off of for some parts of this movie. It's just his show, and it really works. I mean, there's a part of this movie where like the history coming up to it was kind of crazy. Sylvester Stallone was originally attached to this movie, and he wanted this to be
Hey, listen, man, I'm on vacation, okay?
Yeah,
Listen,
exactly.
Man, I'm on vacation, okay? Okay.
He wanted to change the character of Axel Foley to Axel Cobretti, so he would be called Cobra. This ended up becoming Stallone's script for Cobra, but he said his script for Beverly Hills Cop would have looked like the opening scene from Saving Private Ryan on the beaches of Normandy. Believe it or not, the finale was me in a stolen Lamborghini chicken with an oncoming freight train being driven by the ultra slap bad guy. So thank God we didn't get that version of the story.
I would love to spend 24 hours in Sylvester Stallone's brain. Like what a trip that sentence you just read was.
Exactly.
I felt like I went on an adventure with a lot of heartache. Like I want to see that version of the movie.
Yeah, it would have been fine. I mean, I guess like Cobra was he said that Cobra was essentially his version of Beverly Hills Cop. Where, like he took a lot of the script ideas for that. But again, like totally different movie. I mean, and the fact is, we were talking earlier, this movie, as much as known as an action comedy, really is more of an action movie than it is a comedy at the end of the day.
It's very grounded and reserved, especially on the comedic front. Like I didn't like Axel Foley, who Eddie Murphy plays, is a great character in this. Like we learn a lot about who he is. You know, he's just you're a great detective, but you're a bit of a renegade and a headache. Right, like you caused me too much paperwork, that's his character. But then as it goes on, like it doesn't break from that more, but we get to just like see more of him being a great cop, and like like the moment it really kind of clicked for me, like where I was like, oh, like this is a really great cop, is when they break into the customs house and he
Mhm.
pretends to be a customs agent, which is a very funny scene, but it's all completely in character. It's
Yeah,
this character's way of trying to break into this area and get the information that he needs
yeah.
about the shipments, about the guy who he believes killed his best friend back in Detroit. Like, and it's like, oh, like all of the comedy is in character, and that's the genius of this
It's
movie. That's the
yeah,
genius of this movie, because a lot of times in comedies, it's just like funny for the sake of being funny, but not necessarily in the sake of the character.
like we just covered Bad Boys last week, which is a movie that definitely wouldn't have existed without Beverly Hills Cop, another Jerry Bruckheimer production. That's much more sloppy, but like you're saying, like in this movie, I mean, it's a great like setup where, and the sequels go into it too, where essentially it's just like, all right, like Eddie Murphy, his character acts Napoleon to get into this situation or break into this room. He's just gonna say some crazy improv shit that's gonna be fucking hilarious, but it makes sense as the character. It doesn't feel out of character. It doesn't break the illusion of the movie.
Well, even at the beginning with the cigarette heist that goes wrong for him, where he's trying to run a cigarette bust that's not authorized by the PD. He goes on a little chase there. They're like, Foley, I hear you're arguing about the money. Like he was like, yeah, man, like these guys, they said it would be 5,000. He tries to give me two. If I just took the two, they would have known I was a cop. Like no question about it. Like these are tough guys. I was like, dang, okay, wow, like that
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense about it. Because like he's the Beverly Hills Cop, so you kind of assume he's a cop that's undercover. But then like it's very interesting in that opening scene where they're doing this deal of like cigarettes, which like I that dates your movie back to the 1960s in my mind. If you're like trying
talk
to
about smuggling.
smuggling cigarettes in the 60s,
Yeah,
like a truck heist, and he he's very much on the side of like you could see him you could see him being an undercover cop, but then like these cops come up being like, okay guys, I need identification and paperwork, and I'm like, wouldn't they recognize him? Like
well, one of the cops in the scene was like, "Don't I know you somewhere?" And he immediately was trying to deflect. He's like, "No, man, you don't know me. Like, how do you know me?"
yeah, no, like they did do that, but it's almost one of those like where it's like, oh, maybe back off in this situation kind of a deal. But granted, you need the movie to start. Also, the Detroit cop cars were wacky as hell. They were just
Yeah,
like they were just like Plymouth cars with just like a sticker slapped onto them. Like they're very, very wacky,
yeah,
which I appreciated. I appreciated it. And everything was shot on location. It felt like Detroit was Detroit and Beverly Hills was Beverly Hills, and there's this big distinction. Like I love
yeah.
movies shot on location. It brings
I
me
mean, that
into the movie.
exactly. That's one thing that's great about this movie is that they make both places very distinctive in their own right. I mean, like Detroit looks like a shithole, as it should be, and you go into Beverly Hills. When you go into Beverly Hills for the first time in this movie, it's magical almost. It's almost like going into Oz, where it's just like this great Pointer Sisters song is playing and all this shit, and you're gonna be like, "Oh God, this is so much better than Detroit. It's magical. What the hell?"
Fun fact, a lot of things have changed over the past 40 years, but
Mhm.
if you go directly from Detroit to Beverly Hills, it will feel like going into the land of Oz.
Really, I mean, they do in the sequel, the most recent one that came out like last week. There's literally like the transition starts on Detroit, then goes to Beverly Hills. It's the same thing where it's just like this hasn't changed. This is the one thing that's stayed consistent in the last 40 years.
Eddie Murphy's gotten fatter
Yeah,
and had a very weird second half of his career,
mm,
but you would rather live in Beverly Hills than Detroit. Sorry to our Detroit family up there. We love you up in the
yeah.
north. We hear you roar. Let's go Lions, but let's not argue that if you got a one-way ticket to Beverly Hills and a mansion, you're not taking it because you are. You
Yeah.
are taking it.
And so as someone that first watched this movie, how much do you know going in? Like, what were your expectations going in? Do you think they met them or?
Um they exceeded them, but not in the way like I thought it was going to be funnier. Like I thought it was going to be a very funny movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
And not that it's not funny, it's like it's more clever funny, which I appreciate, but I thought it was going to be a little bit more like bigger laughs, maybe something like in the Ghostbusters realm of things. Like these came out in the same years, like
Yeah,
Ghostbusters definitely has
Eddie
bigger
Murphy turned
laughs.
down Ghostbusters to be in this movie. So
So he turned down the role of Winston, I'm assuming.
So apparently the whole rumor of Ghostbusters or the whole backstory was that originally that Winston was offered for Eddie Murphy, but Winston was going to be a much larger character. And then once Eddie Murphy dropped out, they were like, fuck it. We're not going to give this much of the juice to it.
I think, and it's very interesting. I think it benefits both Eddie Murphy's career to have not done the Ghostbusters,
Mhm.
and then it benefited that movie because I think if you tried to like Winston comes in like an hour into that movie, like if you like all you needed that character to be was just like, I'll believe anything you say if you pay
Yeah,
me. Like that's all.
exactly.
That's all we need that character to be at that point in the movie. Whereas like with Beverly Hills Cop, it's almost impossible for me to really picture anybody else from that time frame stepping into the role of
So
Axel.
let me pitch some other people. We talked about Sly Stallone, but there's some other people that are considered. Richard Pryor, I think, could have made sense, but he's probably a little too old at that point. Um,
Definitely too old.
Al Pacino, which you'd have to have the most coked out version of Al Pacino in this movie.
So you just want Al Pacino from Heat.
Yeah, exactly. That's the same in Heat. James Caan, I don't really know if that would have hurt. And then apparently
Jimmy
they
Caan.
offered, yeah, and apparently offered it to Harrison Ford, but I don't think I could see this movie work with Harrison Ford. Yeah, because like this is a movie where like we talked last week about Bad Boys being like have a shit script and like whatever, like they just kind of improv and like they made it somewhat work. Maybe and you didn't think as much as I did, but this is a movie where like there's sometimes where like there's just dead air in a scene where like the scene where he picks up his car back in the Beverly Hills like hotel and like there's just dead air. Like Eddie, can you just like say something funny in this moment? He's like, so he says the moment where he's like, "Hey man, come on, like be careful of my car. Last time you picked it up, like there's some shit in this and stuff like that." It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah, it's just little things like that and it's funny in other moments. I think one of the big ones that sticks in my mind was like, is Ghostbusters 2016. I wasn't even trying to make that callback, but where that movie was like almost entirely improv, which kind of goes against like a science fiction comedy movie, and it was not well received, and I think is basically forgotten at this point. Whereas in this one, it's not full of it. It's just like little moments like that where he goes to the country club and just is just like, hey man, yeah, just don't ding it up. That's what happened when I dropped it off here last time. Like it's just like little moments like that just kind of fit the character. Again,
And
I
what's
think that's
great,
the strength of this movie is that everything that's done fits around the character of Axel
Mhm.
Foley, and it's like Eddie Murphy and Axel Foley are just like a glove, and they just fit perfectly. It's not the
Yeah,
O.J. Simpson glove.
exactly, a little different. I mean, there's great moments in this movie where like you see Eddie Murphy walk into a scene, and like for example, when he goes from the country club and he goes into the front desk, and he's like, all right, takes him home. He's like, all right, how am I going to go into this? So he goes this outrageous like little character where he's like, I have an STD and I want Victor Maitland to know about this and everything like
Oh
that. And like,
yeah,
yeah.
at the
And then the
country
guy's
club
like,
again. Yeah,
yeah, the country club. And the guy's like, I think you should tell him. Yeah, I think that'd be better. And just a
it,
way of him just trying to sneak into a scene ends up being a hilarious moment, which I bet on the script would have been like, Axel Foley tries to get into this country club or something like that.
Yeah, it's just it's a witty comedy. I there's just moments like when he's in the police precinct with like Judge Reinhold standing behind him. Like I loved Judge Reinhold like after they lose the tail on Axel, and Judge Reinhold's like the lieutenant's like, so what food did you get? Because Axel, to distract them, has room service delivered down to them, and he's like, oh, we had a shrimp lettuce, a shrimp salad wrap, and
It
it's
was a
just
late
like
dinner.
looking at him and it's just looking at him like that was a rhetorical question. Like it's just like little moments like that in the background that just made me like chuckle, like
Yeah.
just like
There's
okay.
there's great character moments. Ronnie Cox, who plays the lieutenant. I mean, this kicked off him being in Total Recall and RoboCop. I mean, him playing more villainous characters. The moment when like we referenced at the beginning of the pod of Eddie Murphy telling the Super Cop story, and he's like, guys, he was buying the Super Cop story, and then like Ronnie Cox has a moment where he's like kind of smirks. He's like, I kind of was, yeah.
Yeah, and then the payoff is at the end when the chief comes down, he gives the super cop story. He pitches a whole different way of what's going to be in the report uh
Yeah.
of this because none of this is sanctioned and it ultimately doesn't really matter in my opinion. Like the movie was good, the story was enthralling. I'm able to relinquish the whole thing of like, oh, Axel is a cop not in his jurisdiction, just like trespassing on a mansion.
Mm.
You know, like you would think he would probably also be arrested in this
Yeah.
scenario. But
Well, there's great moments of that, like where like he gets when he first meets Victor Maitland, and Victor Maitland is immediately just like, "Get the fuck out of my place," and he throws, and then he gets the security guards to throw Axel out of the car, out the window rather, and he gets arrested immediately. I mean, there's a movie that doesn't really touch upon like the race aspects of it, but it kind of does in little subtle ways of the fact of like how those two actors are cast that pick him up from the police station, like arrest him. There's two white blonde guys and stuff like that. He's like, "Hey man, why the fuck am I getting arrested? I got thrown out of the car. Are you fucking kidding me?" And he shit like that just plays well in this movie. And I think with Eddie Murphy,
and there's just like visual gags too. Like you see him walking through the Detroit Police Department. It looks identical to the one in RoboCop. I feel like is a good thing. It's just like, built in the 1920s, hasn't been updated since. And then you cut into the LA or the Beverly Hills Police Department, and it's just like state of the art technology, like GPS tracking monitors on the cop cars, which I don't even know if that technology would have existed at the time, but whatever. And
yeah,
and just like it was that kind of contrasting that kind of goes back and forth. But ultimately, I think what makes this movie really work is that Axel One is a very endearing character. You can tell that even though he jokes a lot, he cares a lot about the people around him. Like all of this is a mission to find out who killed his best friend, who got caught up in some bad people and then gets assassinated right in front of Axel back in Detroit because he stole some bearer bonds.
and I think the movie's great that it gives a moment to breathe and let them see what the relationship between the guy Mikey and Axel Foley is like. Where they're at the pool hall, they're talking it out, and he's like, "Hey man, like why didn't you ever arrest me or anything like that? You could have like ratted me out." He's like, "No, I love you." And there's the underlying current of Mikey being like, "You would have gotten more fucked up than I would have in prison." So I took the fall.
Yeah, and
So,
it's interesting because it's like a lot of times movies will just tell us being like, "Oh, he loved this person," but never show it to us. But this actually showed that there was like a genuine connection and care between the two
and we need that
characters.
because we need to know why he wants to go to Beverly Hills, and we need like an actual connection right there, like you said. So right there, there's a joke in like Last Action Hero where it's like, "Oh no, he killed my second favorite uncle" or something like that.
Yeah,
some random.
some random person that doesn't like we don't like if we the audience don't know about it, it doesn't necessarily matter to us. Like Mikey's in the movie for 3 minutes, but you understand from those 3 minutes why he's going to take his first vacation ever to Beverly Hills and why he's doing all this crazy investigating. So what did you think about the villains in this? We had Victor Matlin, played by Stephen Burkoff. We had who Zach, who is Jonathan Banks, which is like his right hand man. So Jonathan Banks is best known for his work as Mike Ehrmantraut on Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. He's one of those guys that I saw and just like I couldn't picture him as a young man, and then I saw him as a relatively young man, and like he's probably in his 30s there, and he looks somewhere in between 35 and 55. I don't know how to perpetually describe his age visually, but there is no defining age of like what he looks like. It's just like this guy's gonna be an old guy. Like he's spiritually an old guy already.
Well,
his body is just not caught up to it.
It's funny. It's him and John Taggart, John Ashton in this movie. If you had to guess what John Ashton's age was when he filmed this role, what do you think it would be?
As Taggart, I would assume he was in his 40s. Also, he has the worst.
He was 35. He was 36.
Okay, so I was kind of on the money there.
Yeah, but still, exactly the same thing. But I think Jonathan Banks, I mean, he plays a good little heavy right here, or like throughout the movie.
Are you seeing my screen right now? This is the worst Wikipedia picture I've ever seen for an actor ever. Like, look, it's just like a blurry picture some fan took with him. Like it's like something that was on your grandma's digital camera in 2006. Pretty
Whereas
wild.
Judge Reinhold is like some blurry picture from the 90s.
Fair enough. Maybe Wikipedia is slipping from there. I like the Judge Reinhold one. I like the Judge Reinhold one.
Yeah.
But
but Jonathan Banks, I mean, it was great seeing him pop up. I was saying earlier, he pops up in 48 Hours too, so he was in the early Eddie repertoire. But I think that he's just like good little heavy. Where like the one scene we're talking about, the country club scene, which I think is one of the highlights of this movie, where like Eddie just flips him over into the fucking buffet right there.
Yes, that's a highlight movie. He gets arrested again, and that's when he gets the ultimatum of you go get your stuff and you never come back to Beverly Hills. We'll drop the charges on you. And then, I think the interesting part of this is that Judge Reinhold, who plays Rosewood, and John Ashton, who played Taggart, have like been with him like halfway through, but they've never been on the same team essentially. They have the strip club heist, which was just another like great Eddie moment where he spots the two criminals there, and he goes up to one of them like playing drunk,
Yeah.
and stops the robbery from happening, and you see both of them slowly start to trust him. Like over the course of the movie, they start to see that he's more and more so right as he's investigating Matland. Matland is a art dealer. He's a respected businessman, 80s villain nonsense, yada yada yada. But I like that, it's not like it's not about the drug, like there's ultimately drugs in the things in like the imports, but it's not what the movie's about. It's just about his quest for revenge. I think that really like helps give the story legs and changes it from other cop movies. It gives it that differential. It's like, oh, this is actually a bad guy, and it just like Victor Matlin's a guy who's just kind of conducting his business, his day-to-day business, and Axel is throwing a wrench into that.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't seem like Victor Matlin, like overall, is like evil like some of these later
He's
cop
just an
movies could
evil.
be.
He's just an evil bad guy. He's just like an
Yeah.
evil guy making money.
The one thing though about this movie is just like with Eddie bouncing off people, there's just so many. This movie, I think, has so many great heat checks of just guys with like one little quick scene. I mean, the one scene of David Wayne's with the Banana Man, where he's just like
Yes.
the guy like in the hotel. He's like, this is the fruit spread, and here you go, and it's all this, and it's like, I want two bananas. He does the quick look. He's like, here's the banana tailpipe. Great little comedic scene right here. And then the one guy of the food
Sergey,
service.
I love Sergey at the
Oh,
art
Serge
gallery.
is amazing.
I
I've seen
can
this
make you a
movie.
cappuccino with a lemon twist.
The way that him and Eddie bounce off each other, and it's the reason why Serge pops up in some of the sequels, is just their chemistry immediately is fucking hilarious. Where like Eddie is just like talking to him, he's like, "How much does this cost?" He's like, "Oh, it costs this much." He's like, "Get the fuck out of here! Get the fuck out of here!" Over and over again. Every time that Eddie says that, I just fucking die laughing. It's just great little bounce off back and forth, and they just have Serge pop up a little bit here and there. It's like a thankless role that just becomes hilarious because of this accent and just
Yeah,
there's a guy like that in Beverly Hills.
Damon Wayans and Bronson Pinchot just both have like weird little accents that they're playing off of. I did not realize that was Damon Wayans until I just saw the cast right now, and I was like, oh my God, that was.
Yeah, and they even have like Paul Reiser show up for a quick heat check. I mean, he gets more to do in Beverly Hills Cop too, but still, just like great low casted. And I think the inspector of this, I mean, it's a cliche role, but the inspector in this movie is fucking hilarious. His Detroit police chief.
Yes, yes. He's the I'm telling you for the last time, otherwise you're gonna have to turn your badge and your gun in. You understand me? Like
It's great
like,
in the moment where he knows Axel's bullshit, where Axel immediately is like, after he finds out the murder happened to his best friend, he's like, I want to go on vacation. I have vacation time. I want to go take care of it. Like, he's like, all right, you have your vacation time, but if you do this fucking case, you're out of here.
you're out of here.
There's something that always hits those movies. In the sequel, he has great lines where he's like, "Don't make my my dick itch, Axel. You'll regret it," or something like that. Just give him shit to do like that. Where it's like, all right, this is great.
Yeah,
You need
that's
to
the perfect little,
angry. Yeah,
little character there. But yeah, ultimately, Tommy, like, as we're wrapping up our greater conversation on Beverly Hills Cop, like, what do you think is the lasting legacy of this movie 40 years later? Because I mean, Netflix agreed to relaunch this dead series 40 years later for its anniversary.
I think generally just the star power of Eddie Murphy more than anything, and also this has an amazing theme song. And that's
Yes.
something we're missing in like movies today. I don't think I can't think of like a really great modern theme song for a movie. But Axel F was such a big song, like the dun, 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 dun. The fact there was like a top 3 hit on Billboard Top 40s back in the 80s. So a song that would play in the nightclubs.
The
And
Oppenheimer theme song, Tommy. Are you telling me that's not going to be played at ballparks around America the next
yeah, I
40
agree.
years? Are you telling me that you're telling me that's not going to I guess I'm
Nah, nah.
just Ken.
I guess I'm just Ken, but that's not really a theme song. I guess more so
No,
than
it's
anything.
not. No, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, we have a basically a deficit of like great like theme songs and great like scores, or like this is the character theme right here. And we had like Indiana Jones in the 80s. We had the Jurassic Park theme song, and maybe the Avengers like that's like I can't even think of it off the top of my head. Yeah,
That's like the last big iconic one. I would argue the Oppenheimer one, but that might just be for me because I can like I say that and I just hear the in my
but
head.
it's just like in this movie in general, the soundtrack in general is just
Well, the
iconic. The
soundtrack
Glenn
is
Fry
simple.
song, "The Heat
Like
Is On."
we were naming like theme songs of like John Williams and like composers, and this is just like a little
It's simple
80s.
synth.
It's just like a little 80s synth thing. Like it's like something you and I could have maybe came up with because it's that simple. But it
Yeah.
works. It works, and it just like it allows for this like lighter tone. I think this movie has a really great balance of tone as well. Like I think
Mm.
it allows it to be goofy, but since it's all in character, it allows you as the audience to subconsciously take what's happening on the screen seriously and view
Mm.
someone like Victor Matland as a threat.
Mm.
And I think that just carries throughout. I think it's a really consistent movie and really solid in that regard.
Mm.
I am a star. I'm a star, I'm a star, I'm a star. I am a big, bright, shining star.
All right, Tommy, who is the star of Beverly Hills Cop? Is it Judge
Ver-
Reinhold?
Yeah, I mean he's great, but Eddie Murphy. I mean, let's be real. This is an easy one for us. Eddie Murphy obviously is the star of the show. He is just carrying this movie on his back, but he has great supporting cast. I mean, we didn't really touch too much on John Ashton and Judge Reinhold. I think that their like kind of odd couple dynamic is great. Apparently, during casting, Martin Brest like had some chemistry tests for the people who try to play Billy and Taggart. Like, okay, you guys are an old couple, old married couple, and here you
Yes,
go.
they very much have that vibe, which works well for them.
Yeah,
Where
and
like Judge Reinhold's character is a little more open-minded, where Taggart's been on the force a little bit longer and it's just like
the grump. Yeah.
The grump,
Whereas like
he's
Judge Reinhold's like the like a eager kid who's like fuck yeah, and I just love the little scenes of like them talking in the car, being like, if you eat like, by the time you're 50 years old, like they'll have like so many pounds of digested meat in your system. And Taggart's like, why the fuck would I want to hear that, Billy? Come on, why are you telling me that right now? And
because you
then
eat a lot of red meat.
exactly,
Like
it's
it's
just great
just
little
so and it's so innocently delivered.
yeah, and then like the little scenes of like during the middle of the shootout where like shit's going down. This is the climax of the movie, and meanwhile, fucking Taggart's like too fucking out of shape to get over the fence.
Oh yeah, that was such a great thing. Like there's
Yeah,
gunfire and it's Reinhold like trying to lift him over the
yeah,
thing and like them falling back. Like and it just like I like this movie is the epitome of like it just works and it's all because it's so character central and character
Mhm.
focused.
Yeah.
And you really get that feel that
Mhm.
like it
And
allows the tone to be more flexible in its serious moments.
and we didn't even talk about her because I think overall she's okay in the movie. But Jeanette, Jenny Summers, his best friend, former best friend, she's okay in the movie. She puts in a moment. I
She's
mean, yeah,
she's there to have some
yeah,
sex appeal in the movie. Like character's fine.
yeah, exactly.
I would say she's the least for memorable part of the movie,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Ah, are you ready, comedy partner? Waka waka.
So Tommy, I want you to picture this. I want you to picture this for me. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to envision like heightened senses. Just get there. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
would this movie work as a Muppet adaptation? Okay, okay. Just sit with me here. Eddie Murphy stays, right? Like
Yeah, of
everybody
course.
else is replaced as a Muppet. I want you to picture the scene with Sergey, but it's replaced with Scooter
Oh god, that'd be amazing.
in the art gallery. and tell
Yeah.
me that this movie would not be an excellent Muppet adaptation.
This would be amazing. I mean, literally, you just have Eddie Murphy bouncing off Muppets back and forth of him trying to get into places where, like, like in that one scene where like he's like in the warehouse and like he's like pretending to be a building inspector. You have Sam the Eagle be like the building manager. He's like, "Oh, you asked him for a cigarette light or whatever." And like, oh,
Who would be Victor Matt?
actually, Victor Maitland would be one of the old guys. He'd be sorted up for Wardorf.
Yeah, I think it would be Waldo.
Jonathan Banks would be the other.
Yes, because Jonathan Banks is perpetually an old guy, even in his 30s. But yeah, I can actually, if you take out the F-bombs and the swearing, and maybe we change that strip club scene to like a nice diner
Bar. Yeah, diner bar.
Something
Milkshake parlor.
we're going for milkshakes, boys. We don't drink on the job. I think that would work somewhat. We rough out the edges there, but I would like to see Eddie Murphy interact with Muppets, because I think one of the big strengths of this movie is just watching Eddie Murphy lend his charisma and letting everybody else play off of it. Like, that's just how strong and powerful it is. It's like a light is just shining down upon him, like, and
it's a reason why you can see that there's like 3 sequels to this. I mean, 2 I think you'd really like. So I'm going to pitch the sequels to you right now. 2 is directed by Tony Scott.
Okay, I'm in. You don't need to say anymore.
And great cinematography throughout that movie. I think it might be better than this one. Hot take. 3, I heard, is complete dog shit. I haven't seen it. Directed by John Landis, though, which is weird because they did trade places together. They did come together.
Landis has a weird career, man.
He had a drop off like
after he killed that guy on set, his career ended. And then
Four's fun. Four's a fun legacy sequel, and it plays.
I will definitely check out 2 because I really enjoyed this. So on that note, Tommy, give me a score out of 5 for the Beverly Hills Cop.
I love this movie. I think it's a really fun movie. I'm really glad to revisit it. I think Eddie Murphy is just like a force of nature in this, and there's just so many great side characters per se. And the action's fun. He plays a good balance of tone and everything. I'm gonna go 4 out of 5. Really fun movie.
I'm on the same wavelength as you, Tommy. This is the epitome of a 4 out of 5. It's like the gold standard of a 4 out of 5. Really strong performances, great characters, great character moments, and a story that revolves around the character, and Eddie Murphy lending himself into that character so freely really allows this movie to work. I really do want to shout out, we haven't talked about Martin Brest at all. Basically, he directed the film. I think this movie is like low-key underrated in its direction. Like, I felt like, especially during the action sequences and stuff, like there's just some really great shots with them, like with misdirections when they're doing the shootouts throughout the house and stuff. Like, I was really engaged and really impressed through that. Also, this movie just has an incredible runtime of 1:45, nice, crisp, to the point. Get me in, let me eat my popcorn, my soda, and get out of there.
Yeah,
that's
definitely a movie I want to see. We were talking about this earlier. Definitely a movie that I want to see on the big screen. Whenever repertory screens out for this, I'm gonna go see it.
Yeah, I would definitely go see this. Kind of feels like a big swing and a miss, Netflix, to not have a wide release of Beverly Hills Cop at like every AMC in their like multiplexes. Just put it in like the little guy, have like a 7:25 showing, and just have a bunch of like people nostalgic for the 80s and the 90s to go. Like, real missed shot there, Netflix. Anyway, Tommy, any final thoughts before we wrap up this episode?
Well, thank you guys so much for listening. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. Really helps us out, helps us grow the show. You can follow us on social media at CNETPod. That's on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, which I post on a weekly account. And next week, we're covering a 90s classic that I don't think we've ever seen. I've never seen it.
I saw it when I was like 7 on VHS and did not comprehend it at all. So I'm excited.
So basically, first time watch. We're covering Twister. Twister's is coming out soon, so we're going to cover the original. So get ready.
I'm excited. Tommy, let me ask you: do you think that? And I will never bring up the Threads if you answer this question correctly. Do you think if you keep posting on that irrelevant website that James Gunn might agree to be a guest on this podcast?
Hey, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Are you taking any shots?
Eventually, I'll just start quote tweeting him. Hey, James Gunn, what can you tell me about the new Superman movie? Is Batman going to be in it? Is Ben Affleck?
Terrible, terrible, awful,
Terrible way.
awful. Stop. Let me cut you off there. I need you to just be like, hey, James Gunn, I have a silly little podcast. You like movies. You want to come and goof around with me and my buddy for 45 minutes to blow off steam from Superman? What's a famous movie you, or here you go. You just go, hey, James Gunn, what's a famous movie you've never seen before?
Yeah.
And then he'll tell you what it is and then be like, great. We're covering it on @Scenic Give me your availability. You come on. He's seems like a fun guy. I'd like to have him on the podcast. So if you make that your goal, I will drop the Threads nonsense because it's nonsense. It's total nonsense.
James Gunn is the only one keeping Threads alive at this point.
I know. Probably Zuckerberg too, but that's just like out of shareholder responsibility, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
But thank you all so much for listening today. We will see you next week.